Welcome back to Chat Like a Native. If you're listening to this right now, I'm willing to bet you have experienced the gap. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're in a conversation, someone looks you in the eye, and they ask you a simple question in English. Maybe it's, how was your weekend? Or, what do you think about this project? Or even just, how are you? And for a split second, your brain just freezes. It's like that spinning wheel on a computer. You know the words, you know the grammar, but instead of speaking, you're stuck doing well. Mental gymnastics. You're translating their question into your native language, then formulating an answer, then wrestling with sentence structure to translate it back all before you've made a single sound. And by the time you finally get the words out, the moment feels awkward. The rhythm is gone. Today, we are going to fix that. We're unpacking a method that promises to help you stop translating in your head and start responding instantly. It's about building something called an English questions engine. The big promise here is that fluency isn't about memorizing the entire dictionary. It's about shifting your brain onto autopilot, turning that static vocabulary into active thought patterns. And to keep us on track, I want you to remember one simple mnemonic, TRS. That stands for think, respond, speak. You think by asking yourself a question in English, you respond internally to shape your thoughts, and then you speak naturally. To help us build this engine, I've got our resident language acquisition expert here. Welcome back.
It's great to be here. And I really love that mnemonic TRS. It captures the essence of what we're talking about because we often treat fluency like a test. You know, do I know enough words? When really, it's a processing habit.
Processing habit.
It's about flow, not just storage.
I like that distinction. So let's unpack this. I mentioned the gap earlier, and the material we're looking at calls this the translator's trap. I feel like I've lived in that trap. Can you explain what is actually happening in the brain there?
It's a very common frustration.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a cognitive bottleneck. The translator's trap is, well, it's a massive detour. Think of your brain like a highway. When you hear English, your brain takes an exit to translate it into your native language.
Okay.
Then you drive around on the back roads thinking of your answer because that's where you're comfortable. Then, and here's the really hard part, you have to get back on a highway, translating that answer back into English before you can even open your mouth.
That sounds exhausting just listening to it. It's like running a marathon just to say hello.
It is exhausting. And it's incredibly slow. That's why you get those awkward pauses. You're not just speaking, you're acting as a middleman in your own conversation.
The interpreter, the editor, and the speaker all at once.
Exactly. The cognitive load is just too high to maintain smoothly.
So the goal of this English questions engine is basically to fire the middleman.
Precisely. You want to bypass that translation layer entirely. The engine is a way to train your brain to ask itself questions in English immediately when you hear something. Instead of translating, your brain just triggers a new thought directly in English.
So you hear something, and your internal monologue just fires. What do I do next? Or how do I feel about this?
In English, yes. You're using an English question to prompt an English answer. It becomes a reflex.
I see. Because native fluency is really just automatic thinking, right?
At its core, yes. When a native speaker talks, they aren't translating. They're generating ideas directly in the language. The engine is just a structured way to force your brain into that mode until it becomes natural.
Like training wheels for your internal monologue.
You got it.
Okay, I am sold on the concept. It feels like we're trying to install new software into the brain. But every engine needs gears. Where do I actually begin?
You start with what we can call the core question templates. Think of these as the four main gears of your engine. And just to be clear, these aren't scripts you say out loud. They're micro questions you ask yourself silently.
Got it. Internal prompts. Let's walk through them. What's gear one?
Gear one is, what happened? This is your gear for events, for stories, or just describing your day. But here's the trick. It's not just one question. It's a sequence.
A sequence?
Right. If you just ask, what happened? You might give a really short, flat answer. I missed the bus. End of story.
Conversation over. Yeah.
But the engine keeps going.
Yeah.
The sequence is, ask yourself what happened. Then immediately, why did it happen? And then, what did I learn?
Oh, I see. It forces a narrative. So if I'm telling a story about the bus, I don't just say, I missed the bus. My brain goes, what happened? Missed the bus. Why? I overslept. What did I learn? Set two alarms.
Exactly. And suddenly, you aren't just stating a fact. You're telling a coherent story. I missed the bus because I overslept, so I learned I need to set two alarms. That's a complex sentence with cause and effect, generated entirely by the engine.
That flows so much better. It stops you from sounding like a robot listing facts.
And you're using connecting words like because and so. natural, without even thinking about grammar rules.
Okay, that's gear one. Events. What's gear two?
Gear 2 is, what do I think? This is for opinions.
This one seems pretty standard. I think this is good, or I think this is bad.
It seems standard, but this is where a lot of learners crash. They give the opinion, and then they just stop. I like this movie, and then silence.
Right.
The engine adds a crucial follow-up. What example illustrates this opinion?
Ah, the example prompt. That's the difference between a weak opinion and a strong argument.
It's all about evidence. Instead of just saying traffic is bad, your brain prompts, what example? And you immediately think, it took me an hour to get here. So now you're speaking with evidence. Traffic is terrible. It took me an hour just to drive 5 miles.
That makes you sound so much more authoritative, doesn't it?
It does. It pushes you out of that vague good-bad zone and into specific details.
Okay, gear three. This one feels important for actually connecting with people.
Absolutely. Gear 3 is, what do I feel? This is the emotional gear. And the follow-up here is obvious but essential. Why do I feel this way?
It seems simple, but I think a lot of us get stuck at, I'm fine, or I'm happy.
They do. They get stuck on the surface.
Yeah.
I am sad. But if the engine kicks in and asks why, you have to dig deeper. You might say, I am sad because my favorite show ended. Or, I'm anxious because I have a deadline. It creates emotional granularity.
It adds texture. And finally, gear four.
What will happen next? This is the future thinking gear, incredibly useful for predicting or planning.
I can see that being huge in a work setting. Here's the project status, and here's what happens next.
Exactly. It shows foresight. So those 4 gears cover almost any conversation you'll have.
And just to clarify, we're not memorizing the answers. We're memorizing the questions to ask ourselves.
That is the key distinction. These are mental nudges to keep your mind moving in English, so you never hit that wall of silence.
Okay, I want to apply this to a real-world nightmare scenario. The boring conversation topic. Someone asks, so what do you do on weekends?
The dreaded laundry list response.
Exactly. I sleep, I study, I eat. It is so robotic, it kills the vibe.
It really does. It's boring for both people. So let's take that question, what do you do on weekends? And run it through the engine.
Okay, walk me through the internal monologue. What am I asking myself?
Okay, instead of just searching for verbs, your internal engine runs a sequence. First, what did I do? Then, how did it feel? Then, what would I do differently next time? And finally, why?
That's a lot of processing, but let's see what comes out the other side.
Well, if you follow that chain, you end up with something like this. On weekends, I usually exercise and study English. I enjoy it because it makes me feel productive. But next weekend, I want to try a new park run because I heard it's beautiful and it will challenge me.
Wow, that is night and day.
It is, isn't it?
The first version was a grocery list. This version is a personality. You have productive, you have challenge, a future plan, and that all came from just 4 internal questions.
Yes, it moves you from a list of verbs to a connected story. And you didn't need to learn any obscure new vocabulary. You just needed a structure to organize the words you already know.
That's a really empowering thought. And I'm guessing this works for travel too, and then we went here and then we went there stories.
Absolutely. For travel, the engine changes slightly. Instead of, I went to Paris, you ask internally, what memory stands out? Then, why was it special? And a great one is, if I went again, what would I do differently?
Oh, I like that last one. If I went again, it forces a hypothetical.
It forces you to use conditionals. Would, could, should. That automatically makes your grammar more complex. So you say, the memory that stands out is this little cafe because the coffee was amazing. If I went again, I'd spend less time in museums and more time just walking.
See, that is a conversation starter. That gives me something to ask you about. It opens doors. The list of monuments just shuts them.
That's the beauty of it. Speaking in paragraphs, not sentences, invites connection.
Let's shift gears a bit to the workplace. Because if my boss asks me for an update, I can't just talk about my feelings. I need to get to the point.
True. In professional setting, we need to tune the engine for analysis. We want to sound competent and solution-oriented.
So what's the sequence there? How do I sound smart in a meeting when I'm put on the spot?
When you're talking about a project, switch the frame to this sequence. What challenge did I face? Followed by, how did I solve it? And, crucially, what did I learn from that solution?
Challenge, solution, learning. That sounds a lot like the STAR method for interviews.
It's very similar. So instead of, I wrote the report, you say, I faced a challenge with the data being incomplete. I solved it by contacting the other department directly, and I learned that early communication saves us time.
That is fantastic. That turns a bland task into thoughtful storytelling. You sound proactive.
It signals that you aren't just doing tasks, you're analyzing them.
Yeah.
And you're doing it all in English, which creates a perception of high fluency.
Okay, so we have our gears. But conversations are dynamic. They bounce back and forth. How do we keep the momentum going?
This brings us to a more advanced technique, the follow-up.
The follow-up trick, I feel like this is where the chat like a native promise really comes in.
Yes, learners often stop after one answer because they think they've completed the task. They answered the question, okay, done.
Right. Do you like music? Yes. And then just silence. So painful.
Exactly. To break that, you need to deepen your response instantly. The engine has a list of follow-up prompts you ask yourself after you've given your initial answer.
What are some of those prompts?
Simple things like why, how, when did that happen, what else could happen?
So let's play that out. I like music. Internal question, why? Because it helps me relax. Internal question, when? Especially when I'm driving home from work.
Perfect. You just turned a one-word answer into a three-part statement. Fact, reason, context.
And what about when we're talking to someone else? Can we use the engine on them? Because sometimes I just want them to talk so I can take a break.
You absolutely
You know-
should. It's a survival tactic. Instead of the boring standard questions like, where are you from? Use the engine to ask deepening questions.
Give me an example of how to upgrade. Where are you from?
Okay, so your engine prompts you to dig deeper. You ask, where did you grow up? Then you follow up with, how was it different from here? Or, what surprised you when you first arrived?
What surprised you is such a good question.
It forces the other person to tell a story. And here's the secret benefit. If you ask a great question that gets them talking for 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes where you don't have to worry about grammar. You just listen.
That is the ultimate hack. Get them talking so you can take a breather. It makes the whole thing feel less like an interrogation.
And that's when you really start to feel fluent, when you're just communicating.
Okay, this all sounds great. But how do we actually lock this in and make it muscle memory?
You're right. You have to run the engine. And the most important rule is you must speak aloud.
Aloud. Not just in your head. Why is that so important?
Because the connection between your brain and your mouth needs physical training. You need to hear your own voice producing these structures.
So walk us through a drill. What does a practice session look like?
No partner needed. Just do it alone so there's zero pressure. Pick a topic. Say, hobbies. Step 1. Ask yourself aloud, what is my favorite hobby?
Okay.
Step 2. Answer aloud. My favorite hobby is running because it relaxes me. Step 3. Immediately ask aloud, why does it relax me? Step 4. Answer aloud. It clears my head after work.
It feels a little like talking to yourself, which might look crazy on the bus.
Maybe don't do it on the bus. Do it in the shower or while cooking. But hearing your own voice creates a feedback loop. It builds confidence.
And how much time are we talking here?
3 to 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That's it. An hour is too much.
3 to 5 minutes. Everyone has that.
Everyone. Just loop through the questions. What? Why? How? What if?
Consistency over intensity.
Always. If you do this every day for a week, you will notice that the gap starts to shrink.
That's the dream. It really is about shifting from being a translator to being a thinker. So let's wrap this up. We started with the problem, the translator's trap.
And we solved it with the English questions engine, training your brain to ask itself questions to trigger English thoughts directly.
We talked about the 4 gears: events, opinions, emotions, and the future. And we showed how to apply them to turn boring lists into actual stories.
And don't forget the follow-up, always asking why and how to deepen the answer.
And most importantly, we learned to TRS, think, respond, speak.
That TRS mnemonic is your anchor. When you feel the panic rising, just think, question, answer, speak.
Before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to try immediately.
Okay, here's my challenge to you. The next time you see a news headline, don't just read it passively. Stop. Ask yourself in English, what is happening? Why does it matter? And what might happen next?
Oh, that's good. Turn the news into a practice session.
Exactly. Answer those 3 questions aloud. It proves that fluency isn't a test you pass. It's a habit you build. You engage with the world in English.
What is happening? Why does it matter? What might happen next? A powerful way to interact with the world. Thank you so much for breaking this down for us. It feels really actionable.
It was my pleasure. Just remember to keep that engine running.
And to everyone listening, try the 3-minute drill today. Build that engine. We will see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.